All right, everyone, a little bit of an odd take here, actually. I have to do the Capitol video over again because I was not initially aware that several people had actually died in the violence. I believe they were all protesters specifically, so I figured it's best to be accurate about it. One of the finer details of the big news of yesterday, and people are talking about the 25th Amendment, coups and stupid shit. Twitter right now is pretending that Trump caused violence, even though literally one of the tweets that they removed from him was a video calling for calm. Very interesting take from Twitter there, and it should be illegal. That being said, first and foremost, I am abused by YouTube. You should join me on another video hosting site. I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of purging of YouTubers in the next few months as the result of the Capitol incident that I'm talking about now. So there will be links in a pinned comment to other sites. By the way, I do exclusive videos on BitChute, one per day, so you're not getting the full clank if you're not joining me there. I'm also on Rumble, Odyssey, and Dailymotion, all fine sites. What just happened yesterday was that some thousands of Trump supporters were pissed off at the proceedings and proceeded to physically invade the U.S. Capitol building. Several people were shot. They tried to breach, I believe, the main room, and were held off by the guards, and there were multiple deaths there. But anyway, first and foremost, I oppose political violence. But secondly, I noticed that a lot of the people that are very, very angry at it and saying, oh my god, it's a coup, it riots, violence, oh no, political violence, and they will attempt to cause people like me to perpetually disavow things, as though we haven't been calling out political violence for a long time. I noticed that they're the same people that not only condoned, but in some cases literally encouraged violent riots in various U.S. cities. Earlier in the last year and up into now January of 2021, when George Floyd or Jacob Blake were killed. Well, George Floyd technically wasn't killed. Riots broke out all across the U.S., and what we were told by the MSM was, well, we need to listen to these people's grievances. No, we may not like their methods, but, you know, they're just burning Wendy's. It's not really a big problem. Ignore the flames, ignore the violence. Political violence is okay, said the MSM. Sometimes, you know, the system doesn't work. They have a grievance, so they're acting out. Why is it that we can't have a national conversation about the grievance of the Trump supporters? Trump supporters have gotten together time and time again with people constantly predicting massive amounts of violence every time more than two people with MAGA hats get together. It never really happens. And then you have one incident where a riot, which is what this is, breaks out, and the MSM pretends that we need to silence them quick. We need to shut them up. Remove Trump, ban him off Twitter, put him in jail, put all these people in jail. Quick, we need to do something about this. Why didn't you ever say that about Antifa and BLM? They've been burning their own cities down and killing people now for months and months. The damage in Kenosha alone, didn't they evaluate it in the hundreds of millions range? The violence in Portland, didn't they evaluate that as like 100, 200 million? Violence in Michigan, all over the place. You've had billions in damage, you've had dozens of deaths attendant to far-left violence, and not only is it condoned, it's literally explicitly endorsed by members of Congress. Some of the same people in Congress that were hunkering down behind their benches, scared shitless of the MAGA crowd in there trying to break through, some of those same people explicitly endorse political violence. So the same pundits that are pretending that Trump is trying to stage a coup despite him pledging to transition, despite him openly calling for calm. So some of those same people, they've spent a very long time now openly encouraging this kind of behavior, as long as it's people with black power shirts instead of MAGA hats. What do you expect people to do when you have taken a large chunk of U.S. society? They've been perpetually abused by shitty trade deals, by corrupt sellout sleazy empty suit politicians. They've been alienated by billionaires, and they're angry. And they're constantly told that they're wrong to be angry, that there's something perpetually and irredeemably wrong with them. They get called names by politicians. They get called names by corporate hacks. They're constantly abused and deranged. And you act like they don't have a right to be angry. They act like doubling down on abusive names and censorship is suddenly going to make the situation better. No, it'll make it worse. Twitter bans the President of the United States from posting for 12 hours, despite the fact that what was removed was just him airing, number one, grievances against Pence because he disagrees with the election certification, and number two, literally calling for calm, telling people to go home. This was considered a call to violence by Twitter. This was considered a call to violence. This is considered by idiots like AOC to be impeachable. Trump did nothing. He told people to show up at the Capitol for a rally. That's what he did. He did not call for violence. He did not condone violence. He did the opposite of what the MSM's been doing since last May, calling for violence. They have, by their inability to disavow groups like BLM and Antifa, they have helped to create a toxic mess of a situation in which groups of sometimes thousands or tens of thousands of leftists rampage through the streets of various U.S. cities virtually uninhibited. They have created that situation that has caused dozens of deaths and billions of dollars in property damage. All of a sudden, these same people are morbidly terrified by the specter of political violence that they themselves have created. The inability of the establishment towards any form of meaningful introspection is the most dangerous thing we grapple with today. That and I would argue billionaire censorship. The establishment right now is getting its jollies off proposing all sorts of panacea sort of bullcrap for a problem that they themselves have created. You're looking at the symptom, which is this Capitol riot, the invasion of the Capitol building, but you're not looking at the underlying cause. It's just a symptom. Just like far leftist rioting in your cities is a symptom. It's a symptom of sick society on a state and sometimes citywide level. Corrupt politicians, corrupt DAs, corrupt attorney generals. That's what you've got. That's the problem. Pretending that this is Trump's fault is ludicrous. It's not Trump's fault. He didn't call for violence. Told people to show up for a political rally. At what point in the rally did he say, well, I want you to take up arms and smash through into the Capitol? No, he disavows that. He unequivocally disavows political violence. Just like I do. Just like most of you probably do. But the MSM doesn't. The far left doesn't. In fact, they're quite happy about it. Until the shoe's on the other foot and it's people with MAGA hats and Gadsden flags. Now all of a sudden, the biggest headlines all over the country, riot, coup attempt, Orange Man bad. Well, you weren't saying that about the Fentanyl Floyd riots or what happened in Kenosha. The only time you had a problem with what happened in Kenosha was when a 17-year-old kid defended himself against a dude who drew a gun on him. That's when you complained. That was a big, horrible thing. He was a fanatic because he went there to put out fires and deliver medical aid to people. He's a horrible extremist, but the people who were literally right next to him, starting a fire next to a gas station of all places, they're perfect. Fine people. Great citizens. We should listen to them. We should fucking let them fuck us in the ass. We should listen to their grievances because they have something meaningful to say. Now, these people have something meaningful to say, but they're not being listened to. When people don't get listened to, things can turn violent. That doesn't mean that it's good. Now, I'd hate to know how much the taxpayers are going to be billed for that fucking door that they tried to break through. Probably hundreds of thousands of dollars because, you know, pork is a thing in D.C. The fucking toilets there are worth more than your house in some cases. You imagine the toilet Trump sits on. Trying to silence Trump or silence MAGA hat wearers, make it a bad word, make the Gadsden flag a hate symbol and stupid shit like that will make the situation worse, especially when it's totally lopsided. What's happened is that corporations have latched onto it. They make money off selling fucking BLM shirts made in China. And that's basically, it's a big grift. It's a big joke. It's a joke to these people. Tens of millions of Americans feel completely alienated right now. Don't you think that when all you do to them is insult them and tell them that they're idiots, don't you think that that makes them angry? And you put half these people out of work. You've destroyed the economy. The establishment has destroyed our economy. Everything's a joke to them. They don't listen to people. They don't care about the U.S. working class or the middle class. They only care about the super rich, and they pretend to care about the very poor. Everyone in between, 80% of the population, they say, fuck you. Fuck yourself. You don't deserve anything. We're going to abuse you more. Oh, you have a problem with it? More taxes. Oh, you have a problem with it? You're a fanatic. Oh, you have a problem with it? We're going to get billionaires to silence you. We're going to get you kicked out. We're going to make you a pariah. Don't you think that when you create a substrat of society of a bunch of pariahs and you constantly tell them, hey, you're evil and fanatic, don't you think eventually they're going to start acting like it? I don't blame these people at all. Can you blame them for their anger after the way they've been treated for the last 4 years? And it didn't start then. It started back in the fucking 90s. It started back with NAFTA and shit like that. The people of the United States have had enough. And most of the people on the other side condemning us, oh, it's violence and stuff. No, most of these are just partisans. They just don't like it because Trump's a Republican. Really, and they believe MSM propaganda. They actually believe he's trying to stage a coup. It's just like they actually believe that he praised tiki torch waving Nazis marching in Charlottesville. They actually believe these things. They live in a world of complete delusion because they've been lied to. I can't even blame them. if you're lied to constantly, if a wall of propaganda is nonstop in front of you, and half of these people, they get their news from the internet, there's literally a screen in front of them half the day, they carry their phone around when they're being indoctrinated constantly. How can you blame them for being wrong? When they're being told shit that's not true, when newspeak is being filtering into their mind practically 24/7, they just start dreaming in newspeak. They start dreaming in red and yellow, the colors of China. That's what's happening to the U.S. public. I don't blame these people for being angry. I mean, I'm not going to encourage political violence, but I can sort of understand where they're coming from. And I think that the Capitol Police opening fire on a group of protesters, none of which had weapons, I've been told by the MSM that it's a fiery but mostly peaceful protest. And mostly peaceful. Only 4 people were killed. Only 4. It's not dozens of people. It's mostly peaceful, right? Most of the people there didn't break down a door. Most of them didn't shatter a window. Most of them didn't hurl death threats at a congressman. Mostly peaceful. We should listen to them. Let's have a national conversation about what they want, about what they believe in. Because you've told them that they're not supposed to speak. You've told them their vote doesn't matter. And you've called them all sorts of names for the last half decade. No shit, they're angry. No, I can't understand why. I can't understand. Now, their answer to this is, oh, well, we should expel Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz from the Senate. Yeah, that'll make the problem go away. It totally won't start looking like a far-left coup. It totally won't look like the establishment strikes back. It won't legitimize every claim made about fucking Beijing Biden being an asterisk president in order to start purging the Senate. Do you realize how tyrannical you sound? You're the authoritarians. Trump fans aren't. They feel bereaved because they feel their liberties being taken away. The other side fights in favor of corporate money and China. Talk about alienating the population. Half the population doesn't even consider the election results to be properly certified, dude. Don't you think it's a powder keg situation to antagonize people further? If people are willing to break into the U.S. Capitol of all places, they're certainly willing to do more on a local level, by the way. Maybe they should start taking that seriously. Instead of constantly heaping abuse on these people, listen to them for once in your God-forsaken lives. But of course, I'm talking to a brick wall. And I'm also, because I'm algorithmically censored, it's not like anyone who needs to hear this message is likely to hear it. Because big corporations and the establishment have screwed everything up. They've taken the United States and they've made us a laughingstock while projecting their weakness, their pathetic corruption off on Donald Trump, the whipping boy of the entire goddamn generation. That's about all. Peace out.